Hi there, I'm Faraz Javed and welcome to this Emirates News Update. Here are the latest stories this hour. More than 30,000 UAE Army personnel have received the COVID-19 vaccine to keep the force safe from the coronavirus. That's according to the Ministry of Defense, who says those who received the jab included military contractors and national service recruits. Officials say the brave men and women in uniform have been on the front lines since the start of the pandemic, and they've helped deliver medical supplies, transport critically ill patients to hospitals, and ensure border security during the crisis, among other responsibilities. What's more, the UAE Army also worked in tandem with civilian institutions. For instance, Army medics worked with civilian doctors and treated thousands of patients, while the Air Force transported WHO supplies and personnel to various countries to help other nations combat the virus. The UAE has extended the grace period for visa violators until the end of the year. The Federal Authority for Identity and Citizenship announced that those who broke the Entry and Foreigners Residence Law before the 1st of March 2020 will now be exempt from all fines, including national ID cards, provided they'll leave the country by the 31st of December. Officials say the extension aims to enable violators to adjust their status in the country. More than 40% of COVID-19 infections in Abu Dhabi involved patients displaying no symptoms. The research, which was based on 791 cases reported in the capital between February and April, highlighted the risk of so-called silent spreaders. The report was compiled by 8 scientists from Abu Dhabi Public Health Center, Khalifa University in Abu Dhabi, and UAE University in Al Ain. It indicated that UAE's mass testing and tracing strategy had played a key role in identifying large numbers of COVID-19 carriers while they were pre-symptomatic. Now, as per the study, people who worked in healthcare, aviation, tourism, or in public places were more likely to develop symptoms if they contracted the virus. Now, almost half of UAE residents and citizens believe that taking a flight poses no greater risk than visiting a gym or a restaurant. That's according to the latest global airline survey commissioned by Inmarsat. The company's passenger confidence tracker revealed a strong desire from passengers in the UAE to take to the skies, again despite the continued health crisis caused by the coronavirus. Data shows that 46% of passengers in the UAE said that they have already taken a flight during the pandemic, compared to the global average of 34%. Meanwhile, only 21% say they are not willing to fly within the next year, compared to 35% globally. Now, Ras Al Khaimah has been named the Gulf Tourism Capital for 2021. It's the second straight year that the Emirate has clinched the title from other GCC cities. The title was awarded in part due to its early and sustained action to curb the spread of COVID-19. Now, in fact, Ras Al Khaimah was the first city in the world to receive both the prestigious Safeguard Assurance label from Bureau Veritas and the World Travel and Tourism Council's Safe Travels stamp. Meanwhile, the Emirates Tourism Development Authority continues to build on its safe destination status by offering complimentary COVID-19 PCR tests for international visitors until the end of this year. Now, here in Dubai, the Coca-Cola Arena is set to open its doors once again. The indoor venue, which is located in Dubai's City Walk area, will reopen on Friday with a music event. Then next Thursday, British comedian Paul Chaudhry will take to the stage for one night only. These will be the first few shows to take place at the venue since February. Officials say Coca-Cola Arena has all safety measures in place to curb the spread of the virus. In fact, the facility has also implemented an environmental hygiene protocol called Venue Shield, which is said to provide the highest levels of cleanliness. To international news, and the World Health Organization remains cautiously optimistic about the development of COVID-19 vaccines, despite the encouraging news around the recent test results. Now, for instance, Moderna, an American biotechnology company, announced yesterday that its coronavirus vaccine is 94.5% effective against the virus. This follows last week's announcement where Pfizer reported that their vaccine candidate was 90% effective. But WHO's chief scientist, Sumaya Swaminathan, says even though the two COVID-19 vaccines seem to achieve high efficacy to the virus, time is still required for complete data analysis to find out the overall safety of the vaccines.
There are many questions still remaining about the duration of protection, the impact on severe disease, the impact on different subpopulations, especially the elderly, as well as the adverse events beyond a certain period of time. So we also hope that the clinical trials will continue to collect data, because that's really going to be important for us to know about in the long term.
Right, to international news now, and Britain has secured 5 million doses of experimental COVID-19 vaccines developed by Moderna after reported positive trial results. Interim data from the late-stage trial indicated the vaccine was 94.5% effective in preventing COVID-19, and the earliest doses are expected to be ready for delivery in spring. Britain has also secured supply deals for a total of 350 million vaccine doses from 6 different suppliers, including Pfizer, whose vaccine was found to be more than 90% effective, and 100 million doses of an AstraZeneca Oxford, whose late-stage trial results are expected in the coming weeks. Meanwhile, Pfizer has launched a pilot delivery program for its experimental COVID-19 vaccine in 4 U.S. states. The drug maker is seeking to address distribution challenges facing its ultra-cold storage requirements. Now, Pfizer's vaccine must be shipped and stored at minus 70 degrees Celsius. Now, that's significantly below the standard for vaccines, which are usually anywhere between 2 to 8 degrees Celsius. Meanwhile, Rhode Island, Texas, New Mexico, and Tennessee have been picked for the program after taking into account their differences in overall size, diverse population, and immunization infrastructure, among others. The company expects to have enough safety data on the vaccine from the ongoing late-stage trials by next week before proceeding to apply for emergency use authorization. Right, with that, let's take a look at the global infection tally, and more than 55.1 million people have been reported to be infected with COVID-19 around the world. That's since the start of the pandemic, and over 1,328,000 have died due to the virus. Those are the latest figures from Johns Hopkins University's coronavirus tracker that shows infections in the U.S. are increasing at an alarming rate, with the number of confirmed cases now well over 11.2 million, and their death toll has passed 247,000. India is right behind with nearly 8.9 million cases, and the death toll there stands at over 130,000. Brazil follows with 5.8 million infections and nearly 166,000 fatalities. Meanwhile, France now overtakes Russia as the 4th worst affected country, with well over 2 million cases and more than 45,000 fatalities. And Russia clocks over 1,954,000 cases and more than 33,000 deaths. And with that, we wrap up this hour's top trending stories. I'll be back at 5 p.m. with more updates. Also, check out our Twitter and Instagram feed at Emirates_News, and you can find me at It's Faraz Javed. Bye for now.